Hi everybody. Okay, thank you for connecting, and I hope that you are having a good morning and that I had a little difficulty to connect with the computer there, but with Facebook Live, but now we are connected. So the plan today is to continue website to continue with this page. We have different stories every day, and today is the eighth story, and we're just going to learn some vocabulary and some expressions from the story, but also to read the story and to take a little message from the story as well, because it's a good page and it's better than some news or business news. So it's just a little different, and you can see some vocabulary as well will be very, very interesting. So today's title is The Ultimate Test. Okay, and first I will read the story, and after I read the story, I will return to analyze the vocabulary and the important parts of the text. Okay, so one night, four college students stayed up late partying, even though they knew they had a test the next day. The next morning, they came up with a plan to get out of having to take their test. Each student rolled around in dirt and then went to the teacher's office. They told the teacher that they had gotten a flat tire the night before, and they spent the entire night pushing their car back to campus. The teacher listened, and to the students' delight, he offered a retest 3 days later. On the day of the test, the students went to their teacher's office. The teacher put all four of the students in separate rooms to take the test. The students were okay with that because they had been given a chance to study, and the test had the test had two questions: your name for 1 point, and which tire was flat for 99 points. Front right, front left, back right, back left. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't understand the moral myself yet. So that's the story. I'm sure you probably understand the story, but the moral of the story is you always need to take responsibility for your actions aside from making wise decisions. So, aside from making wise decisions, you always need to take responsibility for your actions. This means not blaming other people for your mistakes, not complaining about the reality of the present moment, and not giving in to other people's pressure. So, not very clear moral connected to the story, but I think you understand more or less. So let's read again, just for in relation to the vocabulary, in relation to the grammar aspects. Okay, so first again we begin. One night, no problem, and of course the comma is very important in English. This is called the comma, and the comma has a little break in the sentence, similar to other languages as well. For, so it's plural. For college is probably the noun. So here we have two nouns together, and it is possible to have two nouns together. So it's plural for college students. The verb is to stay, and it's the past stayed, and the expression is to stay up late. That's the very, very famous combination. So in here, you can say stay up late, and the significance is really not to go to bed. So if you do not go to bed, you stay up, and that's very important as well. So to stay up means to stay awake. That's possible as well. And in this situation, it's very, very important to stay up, and it's a little more descriptive because they say to stay up late. So it means that you stay awake until very, very early in the morning, or maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. So to stay up late is very, very typical and very good expression. As I said, the opposite is to stay awake, and it means to continue to be awake. It's possible to stay alert, and that means to be careful, to continuously watch and pay attention. So to stay alert is very typical as well. Um, and they are the most typical possibilities: stay up, stay awake, stay alert, and they are the most they're the best expressions I can think of at the moment. um, And here partying is the gerundio, so it's the activity to have a party, stay up late partying. After this structure, I think always you need a gerundio, stay up eating, stay up late watching, stay up late eating, as I said, even though this is very, very fluent and very important. In Spanish, even is incluso, very flexible, very important. An example, everybody is going to the party, even John. So everybody is going to the party, including John, incluso Juan. Though in Espanol is aunque, and in English you have two possibilities. The first possibility is though, and the second possibility is although. Although is probably more typical at the start of the sentence, and though is possible in the middle of the sentence and at the end of the sentence. For example, I am in Ireland, I am very happy, but the weather is bad, though. So you can say though at the end of the sentence with the significance however, como sin embargo, and it's possible at the start of the sentence, although. Okay, and that has the same significance as aunque. So even though is incluso aunque. Okay, and even if, we have another possibility, even if, even when, even though. They are the most typical combinations with even. They is the subject, the students, the subject, they. The verb is to know. I know, I realize, I know, but the past is irregular. They knew. Okay, so the verb is to know and the past is regular. And the participle is known. Okay, so it's very important that you always try to remember the different structures and the different columns and the different families with the words. Okay, so they knew in the past. Again, the same subject, but it's repetition because you have a new verb, and every verb needs a subject in English. So they knew, they had. So it's two structures, but very good. A test, again, article. This is called indefinite article. Test is the noun in English. The next day. Okay, full stop. The next morning, comma, they, the subject, came up with. This is very, very fluent, very important because it's a phrasal verb. And you remember a phrasal verb is a verb plus a preposition, and the significance is completely different. So normal structure of a phrasal verb is a verb plus a preposition. For example, set up, look up. There's lots and lots, there's thousands of phrasal verbs in English, and to come up with is a phrasal verb, and the significance is to create or to invent. Okay, to create, to invent. For example, come up with a plan, to create or to invent a plan. Come up with a solution, to create or to invent a solution. Come up with an idea, to create an idea. Okay, so here it's they came, it's the past, because come is the present, came is the past, irregular. And again, we have a lot of irregular verbs in English. So the verb is to come, and the past is came, irregular. And the expression is they came up with a plan to get out of having. This is very, very fluent and a little bit difficult. Okay, so there's a few possibilities. To get out is very, very flexible because to get could mean to obtain, to arrive, to reach, to become. They are the most typical significances of the verb to get, but the significance to get out has the significance like to arrive or to reach out, like to go away. So get out of the room, the significance is leave the room. That's number one. So to get out is to leave, but also it could be to take out physically. For example, in my bag, I have a pen, and my friend asks me, can you get your pen out of your bag? The significance is, can you take the pen out of your bag? Okay, so get out is physical, to take something out of your bag, and get out is also for people to leave, to depart the room. But there is a third possibility of the phrasal verb to get out of, particularly with of. Okay, so we say to get out of, and this means to avoid doing. Avoid is evitar. For example, if you get out of doing the homework, the significance is you escape. You don't have the obligation, you don't have the necessity, so you avoid, you escape doing the homework. Very famous, very fluent. To get out of doing the homework, the significance is you do not have the obligation to do the homework. You are exempt. Okay, so very fluent, very important. And in this situation, they escaped, they came up, they created a plan to escape the responsibility, to avoid the responsibility of having obligation to take their test. And in English, we say the verb to take your test, and also we can say to do a test, to take a test, and the third possibility is to sit a test or an exam. Okay, they're the most typical expressions with an exam. In Spanish, I think it's realizar, but in English, the verb to realize is completely different. So it's a false friend. In Español es realizar un examen, pero in English it's hacer, to do an exam. Okay, so to do a test, to take a test, to sit a test. And again, this word is the adjective for the possessive, my test, your test, his test, her test, etc., etc. So it's the possession and it's the adjective. Each student, when it's emphasis for individual of the group, so we have a group of 4 and each student is learning Irish, so it's emphasis on the individual in a group. Every student is each student, but there's no significance of the group. So every day, every week, every person, every student is a little more open, but I think each student is more in a specific group. So each student rolled around in dirt. So the verb to roll is very, very clear. So just to give you the translation in Spanish, the verb to roll here as a verb is, you will see, and I have other, rodar, andar, okay, circular, hacer rodar, okay, rodar. So we have a lot of expressions in English. We say to roll up your sleeves, and your sleeve singular is una manga. Entonces, to roll up your sleeves is when you have to do some work. So it's a metaphor that you must start to do some work. So you need to roll up your sleeves and you need to start working. That's a very, very famous expression, to roll up your sleeves. The significance is to start working, maybe hard work, and really work hard. Okay, we can say to roll up your socks. Sorry, we say to pull up your socks. So to pull up your socks is a similar metaphor. When you need to start working harder, you need to start working more intensely, more seriously, you need to pull up your socks. Very famous, very typical as well. So roll is important. We also say to roll around laughing. So when you use the verb to laugh, something is very, very funny and you are rolling physically, you're rolling around because something is very, very funny. Okay, so you're rolling around laughing. But in this situation, it's the verb to roll in the past regular, ed, rolled around in dirt. Okay, and remember yesterday, dirt is the substantive, the noun, the adjective is dirty, and we have a lot of possibilities with the word dirt and dirty. Also, we said filthy was an adjective. If something is extremely dirty, it is filthy. Okay, so they're rolling around in dirt. And then went, so the verb to go. So the subject, normally, always we need the subject in English, but this is a little different structure because already we have the subject. So here we have each student rolled around and also each student went to the teacher's office. So it's the verb to go in the past is went irregular. So we already have the subject and the subject is each student. Go, we normally have the preposition to. For example, go to the cinema, go to the shops, go to the park. go to is very, very important. The office, this is possession, the office of the teacher's office. So when you have this structure apostrophe and the S, this is typical for possession. So this is the possession of the teacher. The office belongs, pertinent there, to the teacher. Okay, and in Spanish is pertinent there. Okay, so we continue. Again, the subject is they, the verb is tell, it's irregular in the past, told, and the big secret, the big tip, the big rule with the verb to tell is there's no preposition. Tell me, tell you, tell him, tell her, tell us, etc., etc. But with the verb to say, we normally say to you, say to me, say to him, say to her, etc., etc. But it's irregular in the past. The verb is to tell, and the past is told. They told me, they told you, they told the teacher that. So this is just to introduce a new clause or to introduce a new sentence. They is the subject. Had gotten, very, very fluent, very, very difficult, because again the verb is to get and it's like to obtain. So in this situation it's get, got, gotten. So past is got, the participle is gotten, and we use the participle in the structure of the perfect, the present perfect and the past perfect. Here we have the past perfect. So they had gotten, they had obtained, they had received. A for the tire. A tire is pneumatical. Okay, yes, it looks like tired because we say the verb to tire is to become or to get tired, adjective. And we have a phrasal verb to tire out, and the significance is when you lose all your energy. So you have no energy and all your energy is out, you tire out. And in this situation, a flat tire is a pneumatico with a problem. A pneumatico sin arre, okay, because flat is the adjective. You could say the road is flat, plano, okay, plano, I think. It's flat, it's this shape, it's this form. So if the road is flat, there is no inclination, there is no hill, there is no mountain, it's very, very flat. You can say the party is flat, and the significance is the atmosphere is very bad, the atmosphere is very low, the atmosphere is very weak. So the atmosphere, the party is very flat. You could say the drink, the fizzy drink is flat. So there is no gas, it's very flat. So it is very, very important as well. Also, we have the verb to flatten, which means to destroy or to maybe demolish or to knock down. Okay, so a flat tire is a tire with no air the night before, comma, and again, subject day, the verb is to spend. Normally you spend money, but you can spend the day, you can spend time also, and in this situation it's the past, spent. So the verb is to spend, and the past is I spent. Also, you can say I am spent, which is very typical, and the significance is extremely tired, exhausted, shattered. They are synonyms: exhausted, shattered, extremely tired. Okay, so you are spent, you have no more energy to give, and that's very, very important. But in this situation, it's the verb they spent the entire, which means complete or the total night, pushing their car back to campus. So we have two prepositions. Push is the verb, push back to, because it's the movement and the direction. So they push the car back to the campus. Very, very interesting. Again, here it's the possessive adjective. My car, your car, his car, her car, our car, your car, their car. Possessive adjective. Okay. The subject, the teacher. The verb is to listen. It's regular in the past. So the teacher listened, regular in the past. And this is a very, very good structure: to the student's delight. And this is possible in singular as well. To my delight. You can say to my surprise, to my shock. And that's a very fluent structure. The significance is I was delighted, you are delighted, I was surprised, I was shocked, etc. to my delight. It's a more formal, more creative way to say I was delighted, I was very, very happy. So to the students' delight, and again, we have the possessive with the apostrophe, but the question here, why not apostrophe s? So here it's apostrophe s because it's possession, but here it's just apostrophe. And this is the question, why? Well, the answer is here it's singular, teachers, office, singular, but here it's students in the plural. So it's the delight of the students in the plural. And when you have the plural with the s, it's not necessary to add another s. We just add the apostrophe. So that's the reason there is no extra s here, because already the word is plural and finishes in the letter s. Again, the subject is he, the teacher. The verb is to offer. It's regular in the past. He offered. Article, indefinite article. When you have the article, you need the noun, and the noun is a retest. And this is a prefix to do again. Remake, redo, revisit, rewatch. Retest is to do the test. De nuevo, en otra vez, again. Okay, 3 days later. Good. Okay, so next paragraph and the final paragraph, I think. And I think on Facebook we're still connected, I hope. On the day, so the preposition is for the day, on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on the day. So for days, we specifically say on. For the month, we say in January, in February, in March. So for the month, we say in, but for the day, we generally say on, comma. The students, plural, the verb is to go, but in the past it's irregular, went. So the students, plural, went. Again, with go, you need the preposition to. Their, teacher's office again. So it's singular and it's the office. The teacher, the subject, put is the verb. The object, all four of the students. So that's just a little more descriptive. You could say the teacher put the 4 students, but all 4 of the students is a little more emphasis and a little more descriptive. In, so you put somebody in, and the preposition for the room, we're in the room, separate rooms, okay? To take the test, to do the test, to sit the test. The students, plural, were, the verb to be, the pronunciation is difficult, and for me maybe it's a bit difficult, were, or where, I have a bit strong pronunciation with this word in particular. So the students were okay, they were happy, they were fine with that, and that is the substitution for the action to put them in the room. So the students were happy with the man putting them in the room, so they were happy with that, because they is the subject, had been given. Okay, this is very, very important and a little advanced. So the verb is to give, and the participle is given, but we have the verb to be in the past perfect. And when you have the verb to be in any form plus the participle, this is an example, an indication of the passivo. Okay, and remember, every day we explain the passivo. I drink the water is the active, and the passive is the water is drunk by me. So the active and the passive is very important every day. And here it's to give an opportunity, to give a chance to study. Okay, and again, tire, flat. So they're the important vocabulary. So the moral, as we said, you always need to take responsibility. This is the structure with responsibility, to take responsibility for your actions, for your behavior. Aside from has the same significance as apart from. Okay, you can say aside from that, which is the significance apart from that, making wise decisions. And again, wise has the same significance as intelligent, smart, clever, wise decisions. Okay, and we had a lot of expressions last week with wise. Wisdom is the substantivo. Wise beyond your years is an expression, and we had the same sentence here as before. So this means not blaming. So the verb to blame is fundamental in English. In Spanish translation, I think it's culpar. So you blame him, he blames her, and very, very important. And we can say the blame game. So this is the metaphor or the expression when people are blaming everybody. You never take responsibility. You blame. It's a game. You blame everybody. Um, you could say maybe blameless. So nobody is blameless, and the significance is everybody is guilty a little. Everybody is responsible a little. Um, and again, here we have other, and other is necessary for plural because another is for singular, another person, another day, another week, another year. But other is necessary for plural, other people, other days, other years, other weeks, etc. So other is typical for plural nouns, and another is typical for singular nouns. We have, of course, another two options when you want something singular, another coffee, and well, that's singular, no problem. But you can say also, a selection or a choice. I don't want this coffee. I want the other coffee. Okay, I don't want this chocolate. I want the other coffee. So you can say the other, and finally, it's possible to say the others, and the significance is a group of people. So I want to go to go on holiday with the others, and the significance is you want to go on holiday with the other group of people. Okay, mistakes. Mistakes has the same significance as errors. Okay, so it's to take, but when you take a bad action or you take a bad step, you have a mistake. Not complaining, again, the verb is to complain. When you are not happy, you use the verb to complain. But this is important because the noun is a complaint. Okay, so the T is with the noun and the verb is with the N. Okay, and the structure in English is to make a complaint, which is important as well. So the noun has the T and the verb has no T. Okay, and again, we have the expression in conversation in English, how are you? And the typical answer is, I cannot complain. Okay, I cannot complain has the significance that everything is happy. I have no reason, I have no motive to say things are bad. Okay, about the reality, substantivo. So the adjective is real, real situation, real problem, real life, but the substantivo is the reality of the present moment and not giving in. Okay, this is very, very interesting. So to give in is similar to give up, like rendirse in Espanol, to quit. Okay, so if you give in, the significance is you quit, but also in the context of pressure when somebody asks you for something constantly. Typical example for the teenager, the child, the teenager, and the parent. The child asks the parent, can I go to the party? Please, 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 can I go, can I go, can I go? So a lot of pressure from the teenager, from the child, and finally the parent says, they give in and they say, okay, yes, you can go to the party. So to give in is to stop the resistance and to quit the resistance and to permit and to allow somebody to do something. And again, here, other people. So probably it's plural and it's possession. Other people's pressure. Okay, good. So that is one text. Not my favorite because it's not so clear for me. That's probably my mistake or my error, but interesting for vocabulary and interesting for expressions and very, very good. So I think with Facebook we are still connected, and that could be sufficient for you. Some people are perfectly happy with maybe 10, 20 minutes of English class. I have the temptation to continue with another story because it's possible. And as I said, some people are probably happy and finished with one article. And again, some people watch live, which is perfect, and other people watch maybe recorded. So you can do what you want, obviously. So I will probably continue with the next story, What a Waste. And just to double check with Facebook that we are still live, because sometimes we have the difficulty with the connection. But I think we are good. And thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. You can leave a message or a comment to say where you are watching from, what part of the world. Obviously, I'm in Ireland, and it would be nice if you want to leave a message as well on the Facebook video. Okay, So the next story is What a Waste. And first, again, I will read the text completely so you can try to understand the story, and then I will analyze the vocabulary. Okay, so a mother camel and her baby were lying down soaking up the sun. The baby camel asked his mum, "Why do we have these big bumps on our back?" The mum stopped to think and then said, "We live in the desert where there is not much water available. Our humps store water to help us survive on long journeys." The baby camel then stopped to think and said, "Well, why do we have long legs with rounded feet?" His mother replied, "They are meant to help us walk through sand." The baby asked the third question, "Why are my eyelashes?" These are the eyelashes. "Why are my eyelashes so long?" The mother replied, "Your long eyelashes offer you protection from sand when it blows in the wind." Finally, the baby said, "If we have all of these natural abilities given to us to walk through the desert, what's the use for camels in the zoo?" Okay, interesting. So basically, the baby camel is asking the question why it's necessary to stay in the zoo. Okay, so the moral of the story is the skills and abilities that you possess won't be useful if you're not in the right environment. Okay, very good sentence and a good summary of the story. So the skills and abilities that you possess won't be useful if you're not in the right environment. You have probably heard of a professional who ditched his or her career to follow their dreams, or the person who remains unfulfilled in their job but doesn't try to make a change. If you're stuck in a career that isn't the right fit, you have to do some self reflection to realize where your strengths lie that are going to waste. Turn to people that you know the best, as well as professionals in any given market, so you can start thinking about what may be better for you. Think big and remain open to new ideas. Interesting advice, okay? But I'm happy because we have a lot of very, very good vocabulary here. Very good vocabulary. So, of course, the first significance is to waste. I think in Spanish it's gastar. No, gastar, I think it's to spend, maybe perder, but not exactly. So, to waste your time and to lose your time are a little different. Lose is perder, but waste is like destroy, ruin your time. It's a little more dramatic. It's a little different. Um, so, for example, food waste. It's the food that you do not use that you will throw in the bin. This is the food waste. So the verb to waste is very important. And just to double check the significance of the verb to waste in Spanish, because it is important, the difference. Oh, it is very, very different. Okay. Desperdiciar. I have never heard that before in Spanish. Perder is like to lose. So perder is to lose, but to waste is desperdiciar. So you can see connected to perder un poquito in the middle, you have P-E-R-D, like to lose. So that's more appropriate. Despilfayar. Despilfayar. Okay, interesting. So very, very good translation. So to waste is very important. The substantive is a waste of time, a waste of money. So obviously this hour for you is a waste of time for you, a waste of money, a waste of energy. Very, very important. Another adjective is wasteful. So the person is very wasteful. They do or they create a lot of waste. Okay, so the vocabulary in the first paragraph: camel is the type of animal, the animal in the desert. Okay, and the desert is this. But just to give you specific, sorry, not Facebook, just to give you specific translation again, I think I have to, yeah, sorry. So the camel is here, and one moment, yeah, sorry. So a camel is, in Spanish, is here, cameo. Okay, so very, very similar. Sorry for the translation. So the baby camel is cameo, cameo. Okay, part of the car is a bumper, and we have a possible expression. We can say traffic is bumper to bumper, and the significance is every car is touching each other. So the bumper to bumper, there's no space, there's no movement. Every traffic is bumper to bumper. Very, very important. So the question is, why do we have these big bumps on our back? And the mum stopped to think. So again, there is a difference. I'm going to tell you a little difference here. She stopped thinking, or she stopped to think. This is a perfect example of the difference between the gerundio, the gerund, and the infinitive. So there's a massive difference between the two. She stopped thinking means the activity she stopped thinking. So stop thinking. And the second possibility is her movement, she physically stopped to think. So there's a massive difference between the gerundio and the infinitive, especially after the verb stop. So this is possible in other situations. So be careful with the verb to stop. And then said, again, the verb is to say, but the past is said. We live in the desert. So the pronunciation is very, very important. The desert, because we have another word in English, the dessert. Okay, so the desert with one S and the dessert with two S's. So the desert is the first one with the significance of the Sahara. So the Sahara desert, it's sand, it's empty, there's no water, it's the desert. So you are in the desert is this expression. And the dessert, so the stress is different. The dessert is the food, like the chocolate, postre in Espanol. Okay, chocolate, ice cream. So there is a very important difference between the desert and the dessert. Where, relative pronoun. Every day we see the relative pronoun who, which, that, where. There is not much water available. Our hump. So the bump on the back, the bump on the head, and the bump on the back, it's possible a hump. Okay, a hump is similar to a bump. Okay, and we can say hump day in English, and the significance of hump day is the middle of the week, because you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today, Wednesday is the hump day because it's the peak of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Wednesday is considered hump day. Also, we have an expression, you have the hump with your friend, and the significance is you are not happy with your friend, you are not speaking with your friend, because if you're happy, you're very straight, but if you have the hump, something is wrong, something is not right. So you have the hump with your friend, and the significance is you are not happy with your friend, you're having an argument with your friend, you're having a disagreement with your friend. So that's very, very famous as well. There is another informal expression to hump, which is like a lot of other words that are very rude, maybe, and it's in the romantic situation. So I'll just let you find that expression for yourself. So to hump is possible informal as well, but it is important that you know all the vocabulary in English. Okay. So store is like keep water, to help us survive, help the person, help me, help you, help him, help her. To survive, I think it's possible to survive, no real problem. Sometimes it's strict. For example, let me go, let you have, okay? But in this situation, help me have, it's more flexible. You can say help me have, or you can say help me to have. Okay, on is the typical preposition for a journey. We are on a trip, we are on a journey. Okay, so the final sections, the baby camel then stopped to think, so physically stopped to think. The other possibility is stopped thinking and said, well, why do we have long legs with rounded, this is an adjective, rounded feet? And remember, 1 foot, 2 feet. That's very, very important always. So we say 1 foot and 2 feet. And we have lots of possible expressions with foot and feet. And we explained, I think, last week, we say to put your foot in it is to say something stupid. And you can say put your foot in your mouth is almost the same. You can also say to get your foot in the door, and the significance is to enter the company or to start in the company very, very quickly, to get your foot in the door or to put your foot in the door. His mother replied. The verb is to reply, but the past irregular is replied. They are meant to, they are supposed to, they have the intention to help us walk or to walk. Through is a través, sand, arena. Okay. The third question, eyelashes. So this part of the body, this is the eyelash. Okay. This is the eyebrow. So vocabulary important in English, and I'll just put here. We say eyelashes and we say eyebrows. But the verb to lash is very important because it's typical with a whip. And no sé exacto la palabra por a whip. When you have the horse and you are mounting or riding the horse, you have the object, which is to hit the horse to make the horse go fast. Latigo, I think, algo como eso. So to lash is very similar to whip. And you can say lashing rain, which means raining very, very heavy. You can say informal, to go on the lash, which means to party, and to party really intensively. So if you go on the lash, you really go and have an intense party. Okay, so it's informal, intense party. You could say to give someone a lash, which is maybe verbal criticism. So strong verbal criticism and probably informal. And again, similar to the previous situation, to hump. Remember the verb to hump in the romantic situation. It's informal. It's possible as well to lash in the romantic situation and in the informal situation. Okay, so the eyebrow is here, and in English we have one expression with the brow. We say the content is very high brow, and the significance is very sophisticated, very elegant, very important. So, for example, the book is very high brow. It's like very, very posh, very advanced, very educated, very sophisticated. It's very highbrow. And the opposite, you can say it's very low brow. And it's very low brow. The content, the book, the significance is it's available for everybody. It's not very difficult to understand. It's very basic. I think that's the typical expressions as well. Okay. The next sentence, no problem. The verb to blow, when the eyelashes, when the sand, sorry, it is the sand. So we always need to pay attention to the pronoun it. Blow is suplar. This action to blow in the wind. It's the third person. I blow, you blow, he blows, she blows, it blows. That's very, very important. We have an expression, we say a blow in is a person who has recently arrived or who has recently started the new job, and they are only new to the group, new to the business, new to the company. The person is a blow in. Okay, lots of possibilities with blow. There was blow back. So in the fire, in the house, you have a fire and you break the window and the fire is sucked out, and that's blowback, but it's a metaphor for criticism. So you take an action and there's a lot of blowback, a lot of response. Okay. And then the final paragraph, a través, to walk through the desert. What's the use? So normally the verb is to use, but in this situation it's the substantivo de use. Okay, so that's very, very important. What is the use of doing this? What is the point? What is the benefit? Okay, the point, the benefit. What is the use of doing this? Okay, And then finally, the verb to possess is like to have. So the skills or the talents and the abilities that you possess, that you have, will not be useful if you're not in the right environment. Okay, heard of, no problem. Ditched. This is very, very advanced and very fluent and very, very typical. Ditched his career. Okay, so ditch is como tirar por la basura. The ditch is to throw away. Okay, but it's very flexible and it's very typical in English. Also, we also say the substantivo, the ditch at the side of the road, and the ditch at the side of the road is the area where you have the rubbish that people throw away. Very bad. So people throw rubbish from the car maybe into the ditch, but not necessarily rubbish, but the ditch is the area beside the road. So in English, the verb to ditch is similar to throw away. Okay, so to ditch your plan, the significance is to cancel, to throw away, to remove your plan. You can ditch your friends, which is obviously very bad, and the significance is to leave your friends, to escape or to run away. And in this situation, ditched his masculine possession or her feminine possession. Career is typical professional. In English, in Spanish, carrera is academic and university situations, but in English, career is more typical for professional situations. To follow their dreams, good expression. Okay, and then the person who remains or continues unfulfilled. So this is a very, very good verb, to fulfill your potential. So basically, to fulfill is to meet or to fill your potential. So if you have potential, you have the capacity to do something fantastic and you fulfill your potential, the significance is you match or you meet your potential. You can say, I am very fulfilled. So in your job, you are very fulfilled, and the significance is satisfied. So you are very satisfied in your job, you are very fulfilled. And similarly, with the negative, unfulfilled has the significance you are not satisfied. Okay, so good. And that's the most important. And finally, the last paragraph, stuck, is related to the verb to stick. And if you cannot move, you are stuck in traffic, you are stuck in the office, you are stuck in your job, you cannot escape, you cannot move. You can say also the dog is stuck to you like glue. The significance is the dog is very attached to you, and very important here. So you're stuck in a career, you cannot change, you cannot move, and isn't the right fit. The verb to fit in Spanish is como cabe, no cabe. So for example, the sofa does not fit into the room. So it's not possible, it does not fit into the room. Okay, so very important. Where your strengths, so it's a difficult word for pronunciation, it's the substantivo of the adjective strong. Your strengths, como esfuerzos, okay, strengths. And where your strengths lie is the second significance of entumbarse. The first significance is mentir, but the second significance is entumbarse, that are going to waste, that you are not using. Okay, turn to people, turn to you, turn to me. The significance is go to and ask. I turn to my friend, I ask my friend for help, I ask my friend for support, as well as also professionals in any given market. Okay, good, very good. Well done. That's 2 stories of morals and short stories that are very interesting, different from a business article, different from a news article, and we will continue with this idea little by little. I hope you understood the class. I hope you enjoyed the class. I hope you learned some expressions, and I hope you can continue to use these expressions and see these expressions in action and hear them in the series, in the movies, in reality, because they're very typical and these are important to improve, and you will hear them all the time. Okay, I hope so. Hopefully you can catch them and understand them. Great. We have classes, of course, on the Facebook page. At the top of the page, you can see the post that's pinned, You can see the schedule for this week. And every week we have classes in the mornings and we have webinars in the afternoons as well. So you can see all the information on the Facebook post that is pinned to the top, and you're welcome to join any of the classes that you want, and you can see all the details. Also, this is free. This class is free, and if you want to make a small donation or a small contribution, you are very welcome to leave a little tip or a little offering or a little donation. No problem. For me, it's a nice surprise. But of course, this class is free, and I'm happy to teach for free at the moment and to teach. It's a good opportunity, and hopefully, you can do the same. Hopefully, you can help other people with something that you can do, especially during this year, 2 years of the pandemic. So that's the information. It's Bizum with the mobile phone, Revolut with the mobile phone, or directly with the bank transfer as well. If you want, so there's 2 or 3 possibilities. If you want to make a small donation or a small contribution, you're welcome. It's only optional, but thank you again to everybody for the little support. So that's it. I hope the connection was fine, and please leave a comment. Please give me your feedback. Please let me know what you think, and hopefully you enjoyed the class. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and hopefully talk to you soon. Take care, and bye bye.